we're very lucky. We have the best pickleball players in the world, our members. Overwhelming feel. You walk into this room and you're like, whoa. Just the other day, I played padel with top 10 pickleball players in the world. By the time we listen to this in a year from now, you will say, like, I used to play tennis. Everything from like Tesla at one point. If you're not thinking about AI, then you have a bigger problem. AI is coming and it's really interesting.
You're running tournaments, coaching, you're doing it all there, right? What systems and or habits have you created to prevent yourself from burning out? Hi, my name is Nick Malinosky with the Exclusive Mindset Podcast, and today we have a very special guest. We have Jonathon Ende, who is the founder, operator, CEO of the Replay Club, which is an amazing lifestyle club. It's absolutely amazing. It's got padel. It's got everything you could want, gym, everything. We're going to dig in a little bit of how he created it, what's going on with it, learn a little bit where he's from and how he got in this business, and figure out what he's up to. But it's very exciting. Everybody's talking about it. Absolutely amazing facility. So we're super excited to get started. And here we are. Let's dig into it. Welcome.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me. So as you mentioned, my name is Jonathon Ende, founder and CEO of a company called the Replay Club. We're a new concept called the Lifestyle Club, which is essentially we have pickleball, we have paddle, we have a gym, we have a mezzanine with a lounge, as well as a yoga studio, a spa. So pretty much, like you mentioned, everything you'd ever want.
First of all, that's insane and amazing at the same time. So let's just step back 1 second. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to college? And what business did you originally get into? I remember when we first met, I think you were in the tech world. So real quick, just hit us with that. Yeah. Give us a little bit about your background.
Yeah. How do you end up owning a 75,000 square feet pickle and paddle facility?
I'd like to know that.
Yeah. I should probably look into this journey a little more myself. So grew up in North Jersey, so a small town called Cresskill, went to Emory University, majored in business and philosophy. Right out of school, knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. Started my first business, which interesting enough was actually in real estate. Kind of rode the roller coaster. I want to say probably started over 20 different businesses over the course of a decade in my 20s. Some made a lot of money, some lost money. And as you mentioned, ended up in the tech world. So I started a company called SEMA Stocks. We ended up raising about $20 million of venture capital. And then I sold that now about 5 years ago. After kind of took some time off, got involved in real estate development. And I've kind of always been a fan of what I call like VAR real estate or value added real estate. You know, how do you go and take a shell and how do you go and turn that into an operating business and kind of increase the value of the real estate itself? So I started thinking a lot about it. My brother and I also had an e-commerce business and we had an empty warehouse. As that was happening, fell in love with paddle. My brother fell in love with pickle. And hence the Replay Club.
Okay, so that's. I think you're simplifying it a little bit. So all right. So you sell a tech business, and you have a warehouse, and now you're thinking, okay, what do we do? Where do you start? I mean, like obviously, where did the idea come from? How do you start something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I like to joke around. I think every entrepreneurial journey starts almost the same. A lot of time, at least in my instance, it's by accident. A little Maria Curie there. It was a little, well, as you mentioned, we had a warehouse. We were trying to sublet it. So our other business had the lease, and we were trying to sublet it. When that was happening, we had a couple tenants coming in, and it was like everything from like Tesla at one point to a lot of people like us. They were like coming in and asking us for a year of free rent or all these things, and we started doing the numbers. Like, wait a minute, if we're going to give someone else this type of tenant improvement, why don't we just do it ourselves? Went through probably a good 20 ideas. I had deeply fallen in love with paddle for many reasons, which I'm sure we'll get into today. I also think pickleball for many of the same reasons. And, I think there was a lot of other things in my life that kind of brought me to the conclusion. My brother, my family, we decided, this should be like a fun, cool little side project. Ended up being a little bit more than a side project, obviously. So we said, let's do it. We put it together. Initially, we ended up hiring a consultant, quote unquote, to help us, quickly finding out that there's no such thing as a paddle or pickleball consultant necessarily at that time. we're like, you know what, we're pretty smart guys. We can figure it out ourselves. And, we kind of went through that journey, made a lot of mistakes. Yet, as I like to say, at least in my journey, I've been lucky enough to make a lot of mistakes, yet correct them pretty quickly. And I believe we built probably one of the nicest facilities in the country.
So what is going on? Obviously, you picked a hot topic. So, and you said you became obsessed with paddle. So explain to the viewers, and most people do know about it, but what is paddle? How is it taken off like crazy? I know it is. How is it such a hot button right now? And how did you make that decision?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to paddle, it's the greatest game ever created. Saying that obviously unbiased. And I think pickleball is obviously close, and both of them, frankly, for same reasons. You have these sports that, to me, are kind of replacing the golf and tennis. You now have your pickle and paddle. And why is that? Well, they're a lot easier to play, to pick up, right? Tennis is really hard. It's hard to serve overhand. It's hard to have really good points. Golf is 5-6 hours, again, really inaccessible to most. And it's also just goes against some of these modern changes that we have in our lifestyles, right? To leave your family for 6 hours on a weekend or to have that kind of commitment is really hard. So you have these two sports that came up that are really easy to pick up, social, really easy to enjoy, wonderful workouts, and also like a mental as well, and that team camaraderie. So you have all of these things in these sports, and there's a reason why pickleball, I'm pretty sure, became the fastest growing sport in the history of the world. And I believe paddle is going to be close behind. And I think the way I like to describe these two sports, by the way, is I think paddle is like F1 and pickle's like NASCAR. And I think they're going to stay like that. And yet both of them are these highly enjoyable sports that are accessible for people, yet you can build really strong community around.
Yeah. I also think I play tennis, and I would say, especially in the summer, half my lessons or half my matches are canceled because of the weather.
Yeah.
So what kind of feedback are you getting based on the fact that you do have a cool, beautiful indoor facility? Do you think that's helped your business? Yeah,
I'm going to go here on this podcast and say like by the time we listen to this in a year from now, you will say like I used to play tennis, and I feel like that way for most of our members, they're coming, they're like, yeah, I used to play tennis. Oh, great. Do you still play tennis? No, I haven't played since I picked up this sport, and there's a lot of reasons why. The weather, obviously, one. You have a sport that you can really enjoy indoor. At the Replay Club, we have 10 indoor, beautiful air-conditioned courts and 7 indoor pickle. We'll be building outdoors as well. And by the way, these are sports you can enjoy outdoor as well. Just a little easier to enjoy indoor. And the other reason is there's a lot of conditions that you need for tennis. Whereas I feel like paddle's a little easier to find a lot of people that are playing the game as well. Mm-hmm.
I feel like as far as your clientele has gone, I visited the complex. I was kind of shocked seeing that many people in there. I also noticed some professional athletes. What's the feedback been so far? Because usually it takes years and years to sort of build this up. Yep. And I kind of feel like based on your numbers and the amount of people that are in there, you've kind of hit the ground running. I mean, can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to believe that we hit the ground running. I also feel like we are, we're one of the first clubs in Palm Beach County. To put it in perspective, right now, believe it or not, 50% of all paddle courts in the U.S. are actually in Florida. And of those, 75% of that 50% is in Miami-Dade County. Yeah. So in Palm Beach County, I think right now, I want to say there's probably 30 courts.
Yeah.
We're 10.
Yeah.
And of those 30 courts, probably only 12 or 14 are indoor. Again, we're 10 of those. So we're definitely forming the community from scratch.
All right, Jonathon, we got a couple rapid fire questions. You ready?
Love this game.
So with such a big operation going on daily, how do you stay focused personally?
Delegate.
What has been your greatest leadership challenge, and how has it shaped you?
I think the greatest leadership challenge of any great leader is always going to be working with people and how to make them better.
If you could whisper a warning to yourself prior to starting Replay, what would it be?
Don't do it. Just joking. One warning, tread swiftly and carry a big stick.
So being so busy, dealing with so many people, so many members, so much going on, what systems and or habits have you created to prevent yourself from burning out?
I'm definitely a creature of habit / routine. I have my routine I do every morning. So I would say, like, to sum it up, a morning routine and keeping to that.
What part of your routine do you try to do every day to keep you balanced?
There's a lot. I think the first thing I like to do when I wake up is kiss my wife. And then number two is kind of look at my calendar and kind of set a mental, like, these are the checklist of these are things I need to do. And then there's this thing that Marcus Aurelius used to do, which was I pre-envision how can this particular meeting like throw me off my horse, right? Throw me and I try to pre-envision like how do I want to respond and how do I want to act in those meetings. So I think that those are like the couple things that I like to do before my day. And I think hopefully that keeps me like acting in a way where at the end of the day, I feel great about how I reacted to each instance that came up in my day.
What is something about replay that nobody sees but takes everything out of you?
Details are really, really, really hard. And I've always said that it's the details or the small things that separate a good company from a great company.
Okay. That was a good. You've been answering these zingers, dude. If replay failed tomorrow, what would you do next?
Failure is not an option.
What role does working out play in your life and routine, and how important is it to you?
And my friend has a saying, and there's like zero negotiations. Sometimes you pre-negotiate, and fitness is one of those things. I think to a degree, you can always move. You always have something you can do, whether it's like going for a walk, or in my case, I'm trying to at least get a real workout in the gym or a paddle game at least 6 days a week. And then I leave the last day for a very long walk with my dog.
What role will AI play in your business?
Yeah, so AI is an interesting one. And I have a saying that there's a tidal wave like off the coast right now of AI, and I'm not sure everyone realizes like how big it's going to be and how we'll consume most things. Being a software guy and ending up in a paddle and pickleball facility, I believe that as AI takes more and more of our busy work away from us, these places where you can have community, you can have wellness, are going to be more important than ever. So I believe that replay is our own small effort of kind of not only being AI proof, yet also being a place where people will be able to gather as AI gives us more time. Sure.
Are you currently using AI in any aspect of your business?
So as any small business owner, which I think is, or business owner in general, if you're not thinking about AI, then you have a bigger problem. AI is coming and it's really interesting. So I probably spend at least, I want to say half an hour a day looking into different AI tools or trying AI tools. So little things. And I think that there's so much of the little things that you mentioned, the details that we've done at Replay, from our website to our social media, to the content that we're creating, to our staffing. So we use AI in almost everyone, and I look forward to using it more and more to become more efficient.
What made you decide to sort of say, okay, we've got paddle, we've got pickle, let's expand this a little bit? Gym, fitness, health, wellness. So talk to me a little bit about these other sort of dynamics to your I guess your community really is what you've built.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as we said, your lifestyle. I think for me, there's a saying a lot of entrepreneurs build for themselves, and I think to a degree I did. Yet I feel like there's a lot of people like me. I mean, I say like me. I recently got married. I like to live a healthier lifestyle. I moved down here from New York City. My lifestyle no longer revolves around drinking. Now it's about health. I want to be able to hang out with my friends, that I also have a family that I want to go home to and I want to spend time with. So where am I going to meet my friends? I'm not going to meet them at the bar. I found a lot of the other members clubs, at least in Miami, became kind of like singles joints. And I felt like there was a void. Once again, coming from New York City and having places like Soho House and these places that we used to hang and really enjoy just sitting around, that weren't necessarily involved around alcohol was interesting. So when we go and tour there later, I think you'll be impressed to see that we have this really chic kind of area that you can hang and has this really beautiful energy to it. Yeah, it's in an environment where you feel super welcome. Yet you feel like you're part of a community, and you also don't feel pressure to have a drink. Mm-hmm. And then that, along with the fact that what I started noticing when I joined initial paddle clubs is I would go play paddle, and I'm like, crap, like I still want to get to the gym, but like that's another place, and you know, we're all busy. We don't want to go to 3 places anymore. And I just figured there needs to be a place. So now at Replay, as you mentioned, you know, you can go to the gym. We call it a life and replay day. You start in the gym, you play a game, you meet your buddies after, you play a game of paddle. After you're done, you go in a sauna, you do a cold plunge, you go up, maybe get a coffee, you hang out, you co-work from the mezzanine. Around 5 o'clock, you go jump in a yoga class, and you've literally had like one of the best days you could ever have. Yet it's all around this new modern lifestyle that we all enjoy.
That's amazing. So do you have a client base that will just use the gym, or they'll just play pickle, or they'll just play paddle, or maybe they use the spa, or they go to just maybe work in the workspace? Like, have you noticed all dynamics?
Absolutely. I mean, we have members that, I kid you not, they show up at 7 a.m. and a lot of them leave at 7 p.m. That's pretty common. Our average member spends about 3.5 hours at the club.
Wow. Pretty
incredible. Compared to like a normal kind of gym, you're probably there for like 45 minutes to an hour. So we definitely people are enjoying the facility. And then we also have members that we have a gym and spa only membership. We have a paddle membership. We have a pickle membership. So yeah, we kind of have a little bit of for everyone.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And how often is just the gym being used? Does anyone just use the gym, or do you find a dynamic with?
Absolutely. I mean, our gym, when we say we also have a gym, I feel like in a lot of clubs, it's like an asterisk, you know, It's like a hotel gym. Like, oh yeah, we have a gym, and you go in, it's like a Peloton and a treadmill, you know, with a couple of weights. We have like a 7,000 square foot gym, fully decked out with pretty much every piece of machinery you want. We also are doing, I think, almost like 40 to 50 fitness classes every week, where we have group fitness training, we have yoga classes, we have TRX training, we have pickleball specific training. And then we also have a full spa. We have a full 15-person sauna, a 15-person steam room. We have 2 wonderful cold plunges. We have a meditation room. We have a red light room.
Wow.
We even now actually are just launching our we have a partnership with a stem cell facility. So we really want to kind of be that go-to for your health and wellness and community.
It's totally becoming a wellness sort of environment.
Yeah.
Have you seen many professional, like what is the professional world? How has their response been to your facility?
Yeah. So when you say professional, I'll answer that in 2 ways. One is we're very lucky. We have the best pickleball players in the world are members. Literally just the other day, I played paddle, funny enough, with the top 10 pickleball players in the world. And we're just enjoying it, having fun, you know, playing paddle and going up in the mezzanine and, you know, hanging out after and actually getting to hang, which was cool. And then we very much tap into the professional world. Right before I came here, you know, I stopped in out of a conversation. Guy's a pretty big insurance brokerage. He has 2 offices, one in kind of, I think, Wellington and one in Fort Lauderdale. And this is his in between. He comes to the gym and he works from ours like 2 or 3 times a week. And that's pretty common. So we've also tapped into that professional world that after we look at this, they look forward to their Monday league night. They look forward to we call it a thing called Nacho Tuesdays and Tuesdays, or they look forward to their Wednesday advanced paddle. So it's become very much part of their their lives from a professional perspective as well.
So you're running tournaments, you're coaching, you're doing it all there right now.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned, as you know, I have 2 young girls. You mentioned you're also doing a ton of stuff for the kids.
Yeah.
So what kind of kids programs are you doing now, or you're going to have? Because in my world, and soon to be in your world, everything we do revolves around the kids. Yeah. I mean, we're going to have my daughter's birthday party at your place. So it's great. And you have the facility. So what are you planning on? What are you doing now? And what are you planning on doing for the youth sports? And
yeah, I mean, I think it's almost overwhelming the amount of stuff we do, but we do have something for everyone. So it's, we really, in order to build community, I'm a big believer you need really thoughtful programming. And I think that extends across the spectrum. Right? Someone asked me earlier, what's your target range? And what's crazy is we have literally kids that are 4 to 6 that are coming for lessons to 85 years old, right? And enjoying the facilities and playing as well. So, which is pretty cool. In terms of programming, we do have kids camps. So we have a kids camp this summer. It's I think it's 7 or 8 hour kids camp. It's a little bit of pickle, a little bit of paddle, a little multi-sport, a little dodgeball. We make it fun. And again, I think because the facilities is so large, we've been super thoughtful on what that looks like. And then on top of that, now we also have like shorter like kids programming where you can kind of drop your child off, have them enjoy a pickle or paddle lesson while the adult goes and either enjoys the cafe upstairs and gets to like have a little piece, or goes to the gym, or goes and takes a clinic themselves. So we're really trying to be a little of something for everyone, while also being like specific to the kind of the sports that we're catering to.
Yeah. I noticed the whole complex has sort of a certain aesthetic. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. It's something like I've never seen before. What was the inspiration behind that? And how did you go about doing that? I mean, as an entrepreneur, it's like, okay, I want to do this. How'd you actually do it? I mean, this to me seems like it's so out of my world, even though I'm in real estate and I'm very familiar with development. This is like the concept, the development, the business part, the membership. So as far as putting that vision together, did you use a certain architect? Like, how did you come up with that look, that feel, that touch for your facility?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, thank you so much for saying that. Again, I'm going to go back and use the same thing I said before. A lot of it was partially by accident. We were pretty unlucky with many of the things along the way. From we had a lot of permitting and GC things, again, as we kind of joke around before, everyone kind of deals with. On designer front, we were really lucky. We had someone who was amazing. Yet there was a lot of like gaps. And when you're trying to open a facility, a 75,000 square facility, and trying to open it in 4 to 6 months, it takes a lot of brute force. And it's like a lot of times you'll get the chairs and the coffee table, but you don't get the carpet, or you get the carpet and the chair, but you don't get the coffee table. And it'll be funny when we go around, people are like, oh my God, everything looks so beautiful. And by the way, a lot of it is very beautiful and very nice. And a lot of it is like Wayfair and Amazon specials, just like, choosing ourselves. Yeah. So I think in terms of the aesthetic, we wanted it to feel, we're in Palm Beach. So it's an homage a little bit to this Palm Beach kind of, that aesthetic. There's a famous artist called Slim Aarons. Slim Aarons was a famous photographer that specifically was in Palm Beach and kind of the Palm Desert. And he created a view into like how the elite lived. And when you go around the space, you're going to notice almost all the art is a Slim Aarons piece. And what was really cool about what we wanted to create, we wanted to give that feel of like stepping into this like high society, yet making it super accessible. And that was part of that vision. And hopefully when you walk around, it almost feels like you're in this Slim Aarons painting. And that was the goal that we were creating. And I was lucky enough to work with a great designer and a great team, and then, be able to, have enough people around me where we're able to piece in the rest to kind of give it that aesthetic.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, everything seems symmetrical. It seems well thought out. Even the glass, around the cages essentially are just absolutely incredible. By the way, can you say one more time how many square feet?
Yeah, so it's 75,000 square feet. So it's two buildings. So it's 25,000 square feet on the pickleball side, and about 50,000 square feet on the paddle side. And by the way, like they're shared kind of amenities and things. Yet we kind of have two different buildings.
That just sounds scary and insane at the same time.
Why didn't you tell me this? I actually don't know. I joke around that my brother and I, when we were sitting in a room, we're like, we should do this. I don't think we realized how big it was. I will also say that it used to be our auto parts warehouse. So it was, like, when I say disgusting is an understatement. Yeah. Like, we took this pretty disgusting place filled with racks, and when you go through it now, it looks like a gorgeous modern country club.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is I think one of the issues with so many of these clubs or country clubs or what have you is the space. You don't have the space. So everywhere you go, it's not quite big enough. The gym's small, the spa's tiny. There aren't that many courts. It usually, in most cases, is sort of an afterthought. I mean, I think having this space is what truly sets you apart, along with everything else you've done. But having this space to breathe and to relax, I think is totally part of your vibe. I mean, I think it's super unique that you don't feel crowded. You're not claustrophobic. It's a beautiful open space. I mean, I think that plays a huge role. And the feedback we've gotten is amazing. I mean, hopefully, when we do the tour later or for first timers and they walk in, it's almost this overwhelming feel. You walk into this room and you're like, whoa. And even, a lot of times people are like, oh, wow, that's the gym. And then we get closer, like, wow, I didn't realize how big it is, because it really is that expansive.
So I think that we were lucky kind of having that space. I think it was definitely an ambitious project, maybe a little more ambitious than we realized, but I guess that was part of the reason why we were able to do it, is that we didn't know how difficult it was going to be. Yet I feel pretty lucky that the outcome, was we couldn't have wanted anything more, and definitely didn't realize it was going to be to that extent. And then the last piece you mentioned, a lot of times it is an afterthought. And for me, as I mentioned quickly, I'm a software guy, but more specifically a software as a service guy, which means recurring revenue, right? You want people showing up, and how do you create that value? And one of the things that was really important to me, or at least what I had seen from other clubs, was that they were very much like, hey, you pay this membership fee, and for this membership fee, we'll give you a little bit of a discount, and we'll let you book earlier. And that was kind of it. And I was like, wait a minute, like we want to add more value. Like what if, and how do we do that? Well, we add more value by creating real amenities, not afterthought amenities. A real gym, right? A real spa, a real members lounge, a real yoga studio. And it shows. And when you go there, it feels like we can literally took 7 businesses and we threw them all into one warehouse essentially. And I believe that creates a lot of value for our members.
How many years have you actually been open, or months, or whatever it is, since you really got sort of, okay, we're fully open? I know it's still work in progress, but how long has it really been? It hasn't been that long.
It hasn't been long. It's been, I want to say our launch event was October 15th or something. Mm-hmm. And then you figure that was like very much a soft launch. So I want to say that, what is that? We've been open 6 months.
I mean, from the outside looking in, that's in my opinion, an incredible start. I mean, it just shows what you created is being so well received.
I think the greatest compliment that we could have had, and we've been very lucky. There's been many. I've probably had about 10 people come to me say, "Hey, Jonathan, I just moved to town. I want to let you know that when I talked to my realtor, one of the number one things that was mandatory, that it needed to be 10 to 12 minutes from replay."
Perfect.
And when you think about that, like I literally just got the chills just now thinking about, like, we've created a space that's that special, where someone is literally going to base where they live, which is probably the most important decision on being in proximity to the club that we created. I think that's really special. It really like warms my heart that we were able to create that kind of experience.
As far as the business goes, where are you? Would you say you're on target? Where do you want to be? I mean, not to get into the numbers, but how do you feel about, where you are and where you're headed? Do you feel comfortable with the amount of members you have now, or where's your head? Are you growing? Are you naturally growing? What's your?
So wonderful question. I would have to say we're exceeding our expectations for sure in terms of just the engagement and the membership that we've had. I have a saying that it's really easy to make money in Excel. Just add on X number of members a month and you just make this much money. And I think that's
a great saying.
Yeah, you can soundbite me on that one. Interesting enough, like we're pretty close. There are obviously some unknowns. Like we had no idea what summer was going to be like. And I want to say last week, I think we had probably second biggest membership week we've had since like that opening launch party. So we're really lucky in that sense. I mean, you mentioned earlier, it's hot outside in Florida. I mean, it's not nice. You definitely don't want to be playing a game of tennis or much. So the fact that we have this beautiful facility has definitely helped.
Yeah, I was going to say, from a real estate perspective, so Florida used to be, I guess 5 years ago, pre-COVID, so many people would go back up north for the summer or just not be here. Now you're dealing with a demographic that wants to stay healthy, that has come down for their business. So you've got all these new people that want to be healthy, especially from the Northeast, that want to get after it, that are here year round.
Yep.
And they don't want to be outside all summer, and they can't go because they're working. So I think that's incredible.
To that point, like that for sure has far exceeded our expectations. We were worried. We thought we'd have a downtick because we have like snowbird memberships to come, or like monthly memberships. And we were pretty shocked to find that every week we were signing on way more memberships than we were kind of losing to people going up north. And then to your point, the people here, even more so, they want community, because a lot of their friends left and they want a place where they can hang out and stay healthy. And I think that's been super important. So we've been lucky to kind of tap into that community of those people that are looking for home. And there's a saying in real estate and in other businesses as well, like this third space. And I think we really nailed it. I think we really nailed it on being this third space for people. And, I think another great compliment that we've gotten, which, just indicative of kind of the place that we've built, is there's a couple of country clubs that are around that I'm sure I don't need to tell you that are $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year to join. And I see these people at the club 6 days a week. And I said to one of them, I said, "Hey, Steve, how many days you go to your country club?" He's like, "I think I've been there twice this season or 3 times this season." I'm like, "Well, you're here every day." And he's like, "Not only that, I want to thank you because you have changed my social life in terms of my experience down here. And now I have all these new friends and this new community and this new thing that I look forward to every day that I didn't have before." And I think that we've been super lucky in kind of tapping to that snowboard community that is getting more of a community. And then also the people that are here like us that, have families that don't, yes, we're going on vacation, sure, but we want our consistency. We kind of almost thrive. We're really looking forward to that routine.
Totally. I think to your point also, I just had a younger cousin move down and she doesn't really know anybody. Obviously she knows us and a few people, but she wants to meet like-minded people.
Yep.
And, like you said, going, it's kind of like
hang out on the
where
avenue,
I grew up. Yeah. It's okay. Happy hour. We're going out. We're in most cases drinking or at least around it. You're staying out late. I think there's so many people, especially over the last few years, that are on this health kick and want to meet people in a healthy environment like that. Yeah. It's an unbelievable place to hang out and, have fun. And you don't have to take it that serious.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I can honestly say that the mezzanine, which we'll get to see, is my happy place. I can hang out there and I see people when they walk up the stairs. I'm genuinely excited to see them, and we can catch up and we can talk about work, or we can talk about real estate, or we can talk about paddle or pickle, or I have all these interests immediately, and just using use cases is just indicative of that point you're making. Is we get people that come here and didn't have community, right? And I even had someone come to me and they were going through a bad breakup. And they came to me and I almost it was emotional, or I went through a terrible breakup and Replay helped me through it. Yeah. I was able to come and I was looking forward to that Nacho Tuesday to kind of forget about it. And I made all these new friends and I was able to, or even better, whenever I leave Replay, I leave, happier than when I came in. And I think that's, if you can do that as a place, then what else can you want?
Yeah. You created such a special place, big spot, incredible. I'm envious. That's the kind of thing where you dream of and you're like, I'm going to create this in my head. And, you've actually done it, which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So we got to get exclusive to get a couple of sponsorships at the Replay Club.
Let's go. Sign me up today. We'll go. Speaking of that, let's go over there right now and check it out. If you guys enjoyed this episode of CEOs and Like-Minded People, check out this episode as well.